The reason I've entitled this talk, Stepping into Your Now with Both Feet, is because I'm experiencing in my own life, which is where I get my material, obviously, as a speaker, and I'll preface it by saying I always teach what I most need to learn. So I'm no expert, but I do see, I have awareness of what needs to be worked on. And in this time, and what's going on in our country and what's going on the planet, it's difficult to not be pulled back. We have one foot in our future. We know where we want to go, and there's so much yet that is pulling us back. My grandmother, for instance, I can remember her saying so often, we must never forget what we've been through because we wouldn't want to go back. And my goodness, my Abraham teaching says, oh no, don't focus on that because you're going to recreate it, which my grandmother didn't understand. So, you know, generations that came before us thought that if we didn't focus on the things that didn't go so well, we'd recreate them. And in fact, the truth is, if we focus on them, we will recreate them. So we know, as light walkers, as ones who chose to come at this time and space, reality now, that we came with intention. We came to break those chains, those generational chains that have held us in this loop that's not, and of course we're always expanding and growing, we cannot not, but we've been sort of stuck for a little while. And we have some leadership now that's really shaken things up. And I received a wonderful article from a dear friend of mine, and I just have to say, I really get that we're all each other's teachers. And what better teacher than our president? I mean to tell you, I had a mother who God rest her soul, I love her so much. She taught me all the things I didn't want to be. She lived in fear. She was run by fear her whole life, as was my father. They were depression children. They were raised to think that the world's going to heck in a handbasket, and money doesn't grow on trees. And lack consciousness was their knowing. That's what their parents taught them. We can only learn from those who have what they have to teach at that point in time. But, you know, times have changed dramatically. And there's a lot of people that are upset about technology and, right? I mean, you see families around tables in restaurants, no one's talking, everyone's on their phones, right? I have a theory that the pendulum swings, right? And it always ends up coming back at some point to some semblance of sanity, God willing. And things are swung way over here with technology right now, and that's okay. Oh my gosh, the strides we've made. We have to always be willing to look at the gems, the gifts, the good, because there's always good in everything that's happening. Everything. And without the contrast, how would we know what we want? We wouldn't. We wouldn't. We'd really have no more growth, which is impossible because we are eternal beings, here to expand consciousness. So, it's not easy, I'm the first to admit, to go through one day without bringing up something from your past. Try it. Try it. But each time I have found I do that, I'm dragging that stuff into my fresh new now that I'm wanting to create differently than much of what I have already created. So there's the rub. I cannot create something fresh and new if I'm continuously bringing forward this old, outdated crap. Well done. Yeah, and you know, it's funny because just that, it can be very humorous. You know, I find myself bringing things up from my past to connect with other people and have a moment of humor, or just to feel that connection with an, I've been there, I know what you mean. We've all done that, right? And zoom, we go right back to those memories and those places that we lived, those events. And you know what, this body, it doesn't know any different. It doesn't know the difference between what's happening right now and what we experienced back then. So if you go zooming back into a trauma, something that was horrible, guess what? You're releasing all these chemicals in your body that are not good for you, because trauma and pain and fear release, if nothing else, many other things. Adrenaline. And adrenaline, not necessary, is toxic to us. It corrodes us from the inside out. And many people are living, running on adrenaline. And then there's the issue of sleep. I'm getting off the topic. Without enough sleep, we're not able to purge these things from our bodies. And many of us are burning the candle at both ends. You know, we're on our technology till midnight, and then we can't get to sleep because our brain is still wired in. And by the time we get to sleep, the alarm's going off at 6 or 7, and you've maybe got 5 or 6 hours maybe. A lot of people are running on 4 on a norm. 4 hours of sleep a night. Well, this human body wasn't designed quite to do that. It needs a little more downtime to complete things that happen physiologically within us. I go back to my personal training, been a trainer for 35 years, and my studies were all kinesiology and physiology and biology and understanding what this body's doing, what's making it tick. And I'll promise you, it needs downtime. It needs REM sleep. That's that deep sleep that a lot of us are wearing these Fitbits now, and guess what? They tell you how you're sleeping. What a shock was it to me to find out that I go into deep, deep REM sleep for very short periods of time. And that's the kind of sleep that allows your body to really heal. So, just food for thought, something to think about in terms of self-care. We have to be good to ourselves. We have to love ourselves first. I know most of us were not trained to do that. Programmed, conditioned not to do that. It's everybody else comes first. But the fact is, without your well-being full, you've got not much to give. And if you're not tapped into your higher self, you can go off like a cue ball with English. You know what I'm saying? You just really have to choose that every interaction throughout your day, you're taking your blended self to, meaning yourself that is tapped into your source, your God, your spirit. Take yourself as a whole, total being to every interaction and watch how things are very different. Very different. And that means that you have to be willing to do what it takes to take care of you. I set my alarm now 45 minutes before I need to get up. Every day. Because I've got to meditate. I have to have prayer time. If I don't start my day that way, things go awry. They just do. I have to be tapped in. I totally have to be tapped in. And what better time than first thing? First thing in the morning. So I highly, highly, highly recommend it. If you're not, do it. It will change your life. Meditate every day. Every day. Make it a real conscious, constant, consistent practice. and you will be a much, much, much more balanced being. So if we're going to take our true self, our blended self, into this precious, brand new, fresh moment, it's imperative that we stop, I stop, trying to get the trophy, connect, put all these reasons ahead of why I'm making conversation with people, or choosing to get on board with the conversations that are going on with people. In other words, am I bringing a fresh idea to this, or am I dragging something from my past into it? Now, if it's something from your past that went fabulously well, oh, go for it. That's brilliant, because that was you tapped into your God at that moment, which is why it went so well. But if you're going to recollect a time when it all went really badly, and I know what you mean, and get on board with that, you don't want to go there. Because you're going to help not only recreate that in your own life, but you're giving those other people you're talking to fuel for their not so good, possibly not so good future. Remember, we only create in our own reality. We can never create in another's reality. Not our children's, as badly as we'd like to. Not in our spouses, not in anyone's. Your only point of attraction is your focus, which creates thought, followed by emotion. Now, law of attraction is going to get involved. As soon as you start to vibrate, which is an emotional mechanism, your emotions allow your vibration to be felt by the universe. So where are you vibrating? Where are you spending most of your emotional time? Are you in satisfaction and contentment and above? Or are you spending a lot of time in the dissatisfied, pessimistic, a little worried, a little frustrated, kind of mad area? And that vibration is going to be heard every bit as well as the other. Because if nothing else, law of attraction is fair. Brutally, clearly, directly fair. You cannot attract anything to you that you are not vibrating within you. It's a hard pill to swallow, because there's times we don't want to own it. We don't. We don't want to own that we're feeling differently than our words. How many times, at least I have to say, I've said to my son, "Don't you know I love you?" The words say I love you. What's behind it is, I'm mad as hell right now at you. So which is it? Law of attraction is going to vibrate to and attract to what I'm feeling, not the words I'm putting out here. And the tricky part about that is we say the words so much, sometimes we believe it. We think we're actually true to those words. But underneath, down in here, they're not meshing. They're different vibrations. So I invite you to pay attention to the words that you say regularly. And if when you say something like, "I'm so proud of you," but in here you're feeling, "But I know you could do better than that." Those are like, your words are saying one thing, but your feelings, your emotions, your truth is vibrating in another place, and that's what law of attraction is going to respond to, no matter what. You could say all the words in the world. You could say all the right things, all the nicest things, all the kindest, most peaceful things. But if you're not feeling that kindness and that peace in here, and it matches, you're going to be creating something in your world that doesn't match your words, and you're going to be wondering, what the heck is going on? It's just not working out the way I thought it was supposed to work out. I keep doing it this way, You know, Louise Hay is one of my all-time favorite teachers in the whole world. God rest you. I know you're everywhere now. She was brilliant with affirmations. And affirmations are incredibly powerful. And sometimes, and she taught this, you have to say it. What's the saying? Do it till you believe it, or get it, say it until you get it, or something like that. Yeah. So I mean,
fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. That's what I was looking for. Thank you, Garnet. That's what I was looking for. Fake it till you make it. But you know, she would say sometimes these affirmations are not going to feel like your truth right away. So you're going to have to say them for a while, and sooner or later it'll start to sink in and feel more like your truth. Yes, I agree with that completely. But if you're finding that the words you're saying really don't, after a while, have truth in them for you, in that they match the way you feel, you're not going to get what you're looking for out here, out picturing in your world. So out picturing in your world what you're creating into your future, we all want world peace. We all want unity all over the world, a human family. We all want everyone to have enough to eat and a place to live and proper schools and water, clean water. You know, we all have these same wants. So how do we bring that into our future? By living it in your world today. I do not, and people look at me like I have two heads, but I have not listened to the news in probably 20 years. I haven't read a newspaper in decades. I try my best not to get involved in matters that terrify me. To be frank, I have no power there. Of course they're going to terrify me. Where is my power? Right here in this now moment. I have no power in my past. I have no power in my future. And if I'm looking at something on TV and it's terrifying, I'm pouring my precious resource of energy that creates powerfully into more of that. I'm growing what I don't want, what terrifies me most. Why? Because I'm looking at it. That's all it takes. Your attention is your focus. Your focus creates your thoughts. Your thoughts create your emotions, and away we go. So, the new, the proper, what's right for you, we have to walk that in ways that we model to the rest of our world. That's the best we can do. Because I can't create for you, but I can show you what I'm creating for myself, and maybe you'll come up and say, gosh, you're awful happy. Things happen for you, it just seems to fall into place. How do you do that? And now we have a conversation that's real and meaningful and powerful and forward expanding for both of us, right? So something that I find really helpful, and you've probably all heard of this, the 4 agreements. Don Miguel Ruiz. Yes. And honestly, if we could all just do this, life would smooth out like no tomorrow. Be impeccable with your word. And what does that mean? That means don't say things you don't feel are your truth. Only say the truth. Really? That could hurt someone's feelings. No, not if said with kindness. Not if said from your heart. Everything can be shared. Truth can be shared, no matter what, if you're coming from your heart. And not your ego from a resentful, angry, whatever place. Now that's a whole nother ballgame, right? But be impeccable with your words. So be honest with how you're feeling, and then express as kindly as you can what you're feeling. The next one is, don't take it personal. Ha! We all do it. I do it. Everyone does it. You know, even someone that just cuts you off on the highway. You think, what did I do to you? Nothing. That's exactly right. Nothing. They're doing what they're doing, and you happen to be in the way. Oh well. But we take everything so seriously. Things our kids say to us, our spouses sort of, you know, off the cuff, and you think, well, what did he mean by that? Well, nothing. That's the whole point. We're really caught in this silly habit, and that's all it is. It's a habit of thinking, I'm the most important thing in everyone's life. Otherwise, I couldn't take what they're saying to me personally. Well, guess what? You're not. None of us are. No human on the planet can be that devoted to another human. The only source, your inner being, your soul, your connection to your higher power, now that has its undivided attention on you always. That you can count on. But please don't try and get it from a human, because they're going to disappoint you every time. Maybe not right away, especially if it's a new relationship, because we tend to be on our best behavior. But as things get down the road, you know, please don't take anything personal, because they got their own thing going. We're all on our own single path here, right? Ours personal. Nobody can walk this path but Kim May. I can invite others to join me, but they still got their paths that are running along next to me. They're not on my path. So don't take anything personal. Really, that will make for so much less heartache. Never make assumptions. I do it all the time with my husband, and he's good about catching me, and I love it. I had a conversation with him, and I said, I know I do this. I don't want to do this. Help me not do this. And he's like, I'm on board for that. Yeah, because I think I know what he wants. I think he knows what I want. I think he should know what I want. I mean, there's just so much craziness that goes around assumptions and assuming. So yeah, something I just learned, I had to take some continuing education to stay certified as a trainer every couple of years, got to turn in these credits. And crazy me picked out a course called Behavioral Change Specialist Coach. Yike! Was that ever tough? I bit off more than I thought I could chew. I did pass, but hugely steep, tons of psychology, lots of, it was a stretch for me. But the point they made in there that was so true, just when you're having a conversation, rather than making an assumption, just reflect back what you just heard. Just reflect it back so that you know what you heard was what they meant. Does that make sense? Because so many times somebody will say something to me and I'll think I understood what they wanted, or it seemed pretty clear. But I get down the road and find out, oh no, I totally misinterpreted that. They didn't have any interest in that, and it was like a shock. I'm shocked. What do you mean? Well, you assumed that, and that wasn't the case. Right? So that one's a biggie. And then finally, and I think we can all say we do this most of the time, but do your very best. That's all you can do. That's all you can ever do. And you know what? I'm going to add to that by saying forgive yourself for anything in your past, anything. Because you know what? You were doing your best then too. Every single time, every mistake that was made, everything you wish you could go back and change, no. Because it made you not only who you are today, it was possibly great for others to see. They learned from it. I mean, there's just no way to know the impact of all of our quote-unquote regrets. Let them all go. The only thing you want to take into your now moment are those things that really served you, and they're coming with you anyway. So anything where you feel shame, guilt, regret, remorse, let it go, because it is absolutely a heavy burden, one, to carry, and two, it's not going to create anything you want in your future. Right? You have nothing to feel guilty or shameful about. Absolutely nothing. And trust me, I know you don't think so. Most people think I've just been this wonderful person. I've come so far down the road from the way things were when I was in my youth. Just got off all kinds of wrong paths for a long time. And for many years, I beat myself up for that stuff. And then I got it. That one, I couldn't be who I am today had I not journeyed those journeys. And two, I was doing the best I could. Where I was consciously, that was the best I could do then. So, that's what I've got for you today. I'll just look at, see if there's, now you know what it takes to create a clear, free now. What do you want? That's the biggest, sometimes most difficult question for anyone to truly answer. And I invite you to dream big. Dream big. There's no reason the universe doesn't know the difference between creating a button or a mansion. It's where you put your focus, what you decide you want, but you got to decide. And then I'm going to also say, don't try to get too specific with the universe. Because, honey, it's got something planned that will blow your mind. It'll dovetail all kinds of things into what you want that you would have never remembered or dreamt of. But it forgets nothing. So give it lots of space to be the creative energy it is. Just kind of hone it in to a general direction of what you want. But figure it out. Figure it out. What is it you want? You. Don't take anyone else in, not your best friend, not anybody. You. What do you want? That's the only person that matters. You wouldn't be here. You're such an intricate part of this tapestry. You play such an enormous role. You have got to own your power. There's just no getting around it. You are a powerfully creative being, and you came with purpose. And you can have whatever you put out there. Just don't drag the past into it, because that'll mess it up every time. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Namaste.